Okay, today we're going to talk about transformations, and specifically today we're going to talk excuse me, about translations. And translations, some of you remember translations as a slide, and you recall that you had look at the SL and the word translation to remind you that it's a slide. So first of all, we're going to review the coordinate plane, remembering that we use the C to help us remember how to name our quadrants. To tell us that we're going to do counterclockwise. Quadrant 1 is in the upper right. Using our C going to the left, we do quadrant 2, 3, and 4. We have an ordered pair x, y. The first number is always our x direction. The second number is always our y direction. If you remember quadrant 1, all of the ordered pairs in quadrant 1 are positive. All of the ordered pairs in quadrant 2, the x-coordinates are negative and the y-coordinates are positive. Quadrant 3, the x's are negative and the y's are negative. And in quadrant 4, the x's are positive and the y's are negative. And we're going to plot some points to just remind ourselves. So A is 3, 2. To plot the point 3, 2, you always are going to start at the origin. The origin is the intersection of your x and y axis. And now you're going to go positive 3 in an x direction. Remember, your first number is your x and your second number is your y. So we're going to go positive 3 in an x direction, and we're going to go positive 2 in a y direction. And that's A, and that should land us in quadrant 1. Our B, negative 3, positive 4. So remembering that if your x's are negative, so my 3 is in my x coordinate is negative, my 4 is my y coordinate is positive, and I should land in quadrant 2. Again, you start from the origin, and you're going to go negative 3 in an x direction and positive 4 in a y direction to give us our new ordered pair B. Our C, if you look at our C, our x direction is negative and our y direction is negative. So if we've plotted this correctly, we'll end up in quadrant 3, starting again from the origin, going back 4, and then down 3, should land us in quadrant 3 for our C. And our final ordered pair that we're going to look at is our D, 2, 3. And in 2, 3, remember, the 2 is your x, and your x is positive, and your negative 3 is your y, and your y is negative. So if you plot this correctly, you should end up in quadrant 4, 2 in an x direction, down 3 in a y direction, and you have your ordered pair D. So that's your review of the coordinate plane. Now we're going to go on to our translations, where we're going to actually slide either ordered pairs or entire figures. If we're doing a horizontal shift, that's an x direction. If we go to the right, we're going in a positive x direction. If we go to the left, we're going in a negative x direction. A vertical shift is your y direction. You go up in a positive y or down in a negative y. So let's go ahead and look at translation using words. So if I translate the point 2, 3, and I want to translate that, I want to move it 3 units to the right and 4 units down, you simply start with your ordered pair and you count 3 units to the right and 4 units down, and we put our new point there. Now notice that this A has this little apostrophe here. This is called the prime. And what the prime tells us is that this is the new figure. So it's important to remember that this prime means this is the new figure. This is where we have translated it to. A will be the original. A prime is the new figure. So it's your new point, or it could be your new entire figure. So this is my new point. So the prime means this is the new one. That's going to come up a lot when we're talking about translations, reflections, dilations. So we can look at the coordinates for our new point are 5, -1. And then remember, to find the coordinate, you always start at the origin and you go over to the right 5, and down 1, which gives me that ordered pair. So now we can try it in blue, where we have the ordered pair 1, -3, and 1, -3. If we were to go ahead and plot it, we go to the right 1 and down 3 from the origin. So remember, you're always starting here from the origin to the right 1 and down 3. They want us to translate point B 5 units left and 6 units up. So again, we're going to go 5 units to the left and 6 units up to get us our new B, B prime. We can find the coordinates for B prime by starting at the origin and seeing that we have to go back 4 and up 3 to give me the new coordinates of my B prime is -4, 3. We can translate an entire figure using the words. If we're going to translate triangle ABC, 3 units right and 4 units down, you're going to take each of your vertices, and what you did to just one ordered pair, you're going to do to each of the vertices, and then you're going to join them. So if I was to look at my triangle, and I take each of my vertices, I started with my A, I went 3 units to the right and 4 units down, and I did that with each of my vertices, 3 units to the right and 4 units down. I'm going to do it with all 3. And I can simply plot those 3 points and join them together to make my new triangle. I can translate the quadrilateral EFGH, that's a trapezoid, in the same manner. It's wanting me to translate quadrilateral EFGH 8 units to the left and 10 units down. Go ahead and erase those other ones. So you start with your E and you go 8 units to the left, and then you're going to go down 10 units, and that's your E. Didn't go down quite far enough. My H, so one of the ways you can do H is you can start back here at H and you can go 8 units to the left and simply count it, 10 units down. And you can do that with each of your points, or you can also look at the relationship between E and H, and you can see that E and H are 3 units apart. So in your new figure, E and H have to be 3 units apart. And then you can use the relationship between E, F, G, and H to draw the new figure. Either way, you'll translate the entire quadrilateral 8 units to the left and 10 units down. Translations using algebra means that instead of having to actually slide the figure, we're going to use the concept of my x and y coordinate to see how we're going to move the figure to redraw. So this is asking me to translate the x coordinate by -3. Visually, that means I'm going to go to the left 3. My y coordinate is going to remain the same. Using the algebra, it means I'm going to shift the 4 back 3. So I'm going to subtract 3 from 4, and my f prime is 1, 6. My blue one, I'm going to not move any direction in the x, but I'm going to move my y coordinate down 5. So applying the algebra, the 4, the x coordinate stays the same, but my y coordinate 6 is going to go down 5. That gives me the new ordered pair 4, 1. If I wanted to translate both, I wanted to do a vertical and a horizontal shift. Then I'm doing a horizontal shift to the right 1 and a vertical shift down 9. Using the algebra, 4 plus 1, which will give me 5, and 6 minus 9 will give me -3. And so now I can simply plot the point. And I have one final one, the green one, where I've shifted my x's -10 and my y's -6. And again, applying the algebra, 4 minus 10. Now 4 minus 10 is -6, and 6 minus 6 is 0. And then I simply plot the ordered pair. I can do the same thing with my figure, my quadrilateral ABCD. If I want to translate quadrilateral ABCD using the translation x minus 1, y minus 7. In words, that means I'm going to go to the left 1, and then I'm going to go down 7. But I can use the algebra to find my new coordinates. Recall here that what we're doing is on each of the x coordinates, this told me to take each of my x coordinates and subtract 1. So this is where this negative 1 comes from. I've taken each of my x coordinates and I've minus 1. In a y direction, it says to me in the y direction to take each of your y values and minus 7. And that's where this is why this is all this minus 7 here, because we had to take each of the y values and take away 7. So now we have to apply our integer rules, and this is the only spot where you all might get a little stuck if you're not very proficient on your integer rules. Negative 4 minus 1 is negative 5, and 2 minus 7 is negative 5. So my new A prime is negative 5, negative 5. B prime, negative 4 minus 1 is negative 5, and 4 minus 7 is negative 3. C prime, negative 1 minus 1 is negative 2, and 4 minus 7 is negative 3. And D prime, negative 1 minus 1 is negative 2, and 2 minus 7 is negative 5. And once I've got my new points, I can simply plot them, join them together, and I've got my quadrilateral A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime. Remember to put those primes on there to tell me that this is the new figure. So here's a practice problem. You might want to pause the video, use your graph paper, and see if you can do this. We're going to start with our original quadrilateral, and this is a translation you want to make. Now, whether or not you do the algebra first to figure out all the new ordered pairs and then plot it, or whether you simply slide the figure over is up to you. But you might want to pause here and make sure you're going to slide it in the right direction, and then turn the video back on and see how you did. So hopefully you did that, and you either slid each of your ordered pairs over and drew your new triangle, your new rectangle. And here are your new coordinates of A prime, B prime, C prime, and D prime. Negative 4 plus 6 is 2, and 2 plus 2 are 4. Negative 4 plus 2 is negative 4 plus 6 is 2, and 5 plus 2 is 7. My C prime, negative 1 plus 6 is 5, and 5 plus 2 is 7. And my D prime, negative 1 plus 6 is 5, and 2 plus 2, well, that D prime is not 7. That D prime should be 4. So let's go ahead and make a little note here. Hopefully I've caught. That's the only one we've got. That should actually be a 4. Okay, so we have another translation. Again, I would take a moment, pause the video, and see how you do translating the original figure, A, B, C, D, to the new point, x minus 2, y minus 7. Hopefully you paused and came back on. You've either slid each of your vertices back 2 down 7 and drawn your new rectangle. Let's check our coordinates. Negative 4 minus 2 is negative 6, and 2 minus 7 is negative 5. Negative 4 minus 2 is negative 6 for my B prime, and 5 minus 7 is negative 2. So my C prime is negative 1 minus 2 is negative 3, and 5 minus 7 is negative 2. And my D prime, negative 1 minus 2 is negative 3, and 2 minus 7 is negative 5. So we got all those coordinates right. On one last one, to just make sure practice makes perfect, or perfect practice makes perfect. And we have our new coordinates. So whether you translate by actually sliding the figure over, or whether you translate using the algebra, is entirely up to you. Sometimes you'll see it in words, and sometimes you'll see the transformation using the algebraic way. We have one more practice session using the triangle. Here's our original ordered pairs. I want you to translate this one, x minus 4y plus 7. Take a moment, pause the video. Let's see how you did. Your x plus 4, y plus 3. Take a moment, pause the video. Let's see how you did. And then a third one, x minus 5, y minus 2. And each time you're translating the original figure. So translating algebraically, if the ordered pair negative 2, 5 is translated right 5 and down 3, what are the new coordinates? So without actually having to draw it, what you're wanting to do is you're wanting to add 5 to your x-coordinate, because you're going to the right 5. That means we're adding 5 in an x direction, and down 3 in a y direction. And now you simply apply your integer rules, and negative 2 plus 5 is 3, and 5 minus 3 is 2. Not negative 2, that would be incorrect. So let me just change this. 5 minus 3 would make that a positive 2. Let's just get that purple ink, and let's just change that to a positive 2. If we have a triangle RST that has vertices 3, negative 9, negative 2, negative 7, and 1, 5, if the new triangle, so now they're doing a little bit different. They're giving you the new vertices, and they want you to describe the algebraic translation. Well, what we have to do is we have to figure out, now whatever they did to translate R, they also did to S and to T. So sometimes you want to pull apart each one of them, and let's just look at the x-coordinates first. My R, I started with 3 and I ended with negative 1. My S, my x-coordinate started with negative 2 and ended with negative 6. And my T, I started with positive 1 and I ended with negative 3. So the question mark here has to be the same for all three. You have to use the same translation. So 3 plus what number will give me negative 1? Well, if I start at positive 3 and I end at negative 1, I better have gone back 4. And now I'm just going to double check that I haven't made a mistake. Negative 2 minus 4 is negative 6, and 1 minus 4 is negative 3. So now I know that my x-coordinate is going back 4. Now let's look at our y-coordinates. If I started at negative 9 and my r prime is negative 4, my s began at negative 7 and my s prime is negative 2, and my t began at 5 and ended at 10. So again, remember what happened on each one of the vertices has to be consistent. And so we have 5. Negative 9 plus 5 is negative 4. Negative 7 plus 5 is negative 2. And 5 plus 5 is 10. So my y translation is y plus 5. So when I want to write the algebraic translation of how I went from r to r prime, I have x minus 4 and y plus 5. So remember, you're just sliding, and even though they're now going to give it to you in more of an algebraic format, you can do it.